really struggling to get some momentum and lack of wheel spin, unfortunately.
This will be the other talking point, the setting sun out west. It'll be really bad on the run down the main straight, and particularly on the hard break down to turn 8. That will change with every lap of these 10 laps. Final cars going into position. James Duckworth returning to form and hoping to retain the number 1 for season 2018 as the green flag waves at the back. Kel Tressler alongside him. Robson and Skibberus from the second row, the quickest Sydney Western Sydney cars. And we're underway for the final time here at Sydney Motorsport Park in 2017. And looks like the poleman actually got a good start this time. Is it going to be enough? No, it won't be to grab the lead into turn number 1. And we're already side by side.
And although unfortunately Duckworth didn't get the greatest start there, it was much better than we've seen from the previous races. It was enough that he could modulate the clutch and the throttle, and he's in the hunt here. The earlier races today and yesterday, we saw him drop from pole back to 3rd, 4th and even 5th, whereas this time, much better run.
It was on board with Bruce Duckworth for a moment as they fan out across the top of the tunnel, which goes underneath, allowing the trucks and cars to leave the Sydney Motorsport Park complex. Set into some sort of rhythm here. So Jay Robson around the backside of the circle. Charlotte Pointing cutting her way through the field along with Joel Heinrich, who was put into the fence in the 3rd race today. Car number 16, the Osborne's transport entry, as down the inside goes Duckworth to take the lead from Kel Tressler.
Very
late, where he belongs.
Very late on the brakes there, and we've seen it a few times. When he's not leading, that car looks really hungry, and the read I get on that is the attitude. You saw he had heaps of curb at the turn 6 there to make sure that the car would turn. He's got the job done, head down. The guy's doing a brilliant job here is Skibberus. He looks like he's in a hurry. Big move on Robson there into turn 4, and he got the job done. He's motoring after Tressida now.
Blake Skibberus won that very wet race down at Simmons Plains, race number 3 earlier this year. Joel Heinrich, and there's Thompson off the track, and damage to the number 78 car. Where's that? That's in the exit of turn number 6. And another car involved down there too.
So safety car has been deployed while they clean up that mess. Looks a bit awkward here. We just see Skibberus pull out from behind Tressida. So no radios on board these cars. They wouldn't have got a message until they saw the safety car board. So well done to everybody there.
It's Paul Faber that's been caught up. There's the view in race control right now, which is just to the left of our commentary position here at Sydney Motorsport Park. How bright are those lights when you're inside the car? They're LED panels, and they really get your attention straight away?
Yeah, absolutely. Last couple of years, the LED panels have been introduced around a lot of circuits, and for me, with inside the car, I mentioned it earlier today, your vision isn't as great as most people think. Very different to the road-going versions of a car that we would normally drive. So the old yellow waved flag was very good for its time, but you cannot beat an LED light, particularly now where some of the guys standing around the circuit can be around the circuit in a fluoro shirt.
Yeah.
It's very easy to confuse. Funnily enough, it sounds crazy. The difference between a fluoro shirt and a waved yellow is difficult, whereas the LED light is a brilliant improvement in terms of safety.
I've often wondered, since we've had the high-vis sensation over the years, where that would play havoc. Here's a replay of the start. And Duckworth was good initially, but Tressida was better from that second grid position on the right-hand side. Skibberus and Jay Robson went side by side into turn number 1. And everybody got safely through. Got down to turn 6 before all the drama popped up. This was Bruce Duckworth. Nice start from car number 10.
Controlled amount of wheel spin there for Bruce Duckworth, whereas you mentioned Duckworth on the pole, unfortunately, really good launch, and as he drove over the .com bit in Sydney.com was where it just flared up, unfortunately, and yeah, it's a tough one, but as I mentioned, everybody that has started pole across a lot of categories this weekend has struggled with that same, and this is going to give us a really good view. Let's have a listen. There we go. Good launch, controlled it with the clutch, but by the time he got to that second phase, just was having to modulate the throttle. This time, though, he's happy with that rear view mirror position.
Yeah, they tightened it up.
Previous starts, he's had to adjust that on the run into turn 1.
She had some good speed going up to turn 2, but Tressida saw it coming and slotted a bit of a dummy here, the Can't Centre Perth entry. This is on semi-cold Primo tyres as well. Did they rub panels? I don't think they did, but it was as close as you like. Oh, here's the correction. mid-turn. He's been racing on the dirt track just down the road here at Valvoline Raceway during the summertime in a sprint car, so he knows how to correct the car at a rapid rate. Absolutely.
He looks like he'd be right at home on the speedway at the moment, but look at these two guys go. The thing that the TV and the onboard does here for me is, you know, it probably dulls all this down. I guarantee you Duckworth is in that car and his work rate is huge. He is working that car harder than that is giving it justice. Look at him go. He's done the fake and then pulled to the left. And you see that he used lots of curb there. For me, the reason he used that curb was if he hadn't used it, the car probably wouldn't have turned enough for him. We just catch the end of the incident here. Looks like those two guys have come together and it's game over.
So gravel being kicked onto the circuit there on the exit of turn number 6. So the Vodafone safety car out here, and Jay Robson's been given 5 seconds added to his time on our screens up here, and that's been instantaneous. So commonly that's been for a jump start.
Second one for today as well. He got one in the earlier race.
Yeah.
So the judges of fact that'll stand there and watch every single row. Been very quick onto that today, and Jay Robson, unfortunately, a bit too keen to get off that start line.
So he'll want a big margin here because he'll be in line for a top 3 overall. Been a double points race. The system works that what we see on our screens is going to be different to what they get. The point system works as 51, 50, 49, 48, and so on down the field, which keeps the championship nice and tight and guarantees us a series finale. We head to Newcastle later this year.
And from within inside that car, Robson doesn't know that he's been given that penalty, but what we know with the information that we have on hand is that this safety car is not helping him. For every lap that they're doing under the safety car here, it's basically a reset for him, and it's not an opportunity for him to build a big enough gap.
It's going to be probably another lap or two here, while this hard-working team at Sydney Motorsport Park, they have been very busy since Friday morning. Well, not just picking up damaged race cars, but with the wind we had on Friday, managed to blow some of these polystyrene signs around the track as well. They've been mopping up lots of mess and tyres that we've been peeling away during the course of this Red Rooster Sydney Super Sprint. Let's go to Rihanna Crean.
Cam Waters, unfortunately, a really tough day for you. It was a bit of an interesting incident, though, between yourself and Alex Rullo.
Yeah, it was a really hard day for us, but yeah, we didn't really have the pace in qualifying, and I thought I had an okay race car, and pit stop was okay. We fueled back, and yeah, I was setting up Alex and going into turn 4. I was under him, and the tyre let go. So as soon as the tyre goes down, you're a passenger, and yeah, car spun, and obviously took out Alex as well. So yeah, feel sorry for Alex. He got caught up in it, but yeah, the tyres are going down a bit this weekend.
Head to Sandown next. You've had some really great results there. I'm sure that given Richie's fantastic results in the Super 2, you must be excited about that.
Yeah, I'm really pumped for Sandown, and yeah, Richie's in the car obviously this weekend, won a race and really comfortable. So yeah, I think we'll be a really strong pairing, and it's a track that I really like and go well at. So yeah, really pumped to go there and yeah, see how we go.
Look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.
Sweet, thank you.
Let's round it down with Cam Waters in the PRA garage. We go back to your race earlier today. That was pretty a wild old affair down there. You were caught up in a bit of it.
Yeah, it was a wild affair. Interesting to read the body language there, though, of Cam Waters. It's funny, isn't it? This motorsport caper is definitely a confidence game, and just reading his body language and the way he was talking, you know, he sounded a bit down in the dumps there. You mentioned our race earlier. Yeah, it was chaos into turn 1. We're struggling with the same things that these guys are. Trying to get these cars off the line, or our cars off the line, very difficult. As we go on board here with another replay. Speaking of trying to get the cars off the line, Duckworth there has done a great job. That sun going into turn 1, playing a bit of a part there, where he's probably just been a bit gun shy.
Sid Stone's just bobbling around in the cockpit here, peppering the front of the car. It's Adam Kasukio in front of him, the 111 entry. Back in the field this weekend. Haven't seen him for a couple of races. This was the 21 car left-hand side, and he just had to back out of it because it was a similar moment to what he was caught up with in race number 3 earlier today with Joel Heinrich, which ended up with Heinrich in the fence on the left-hand side. We talk about cold tyres. How come some guys are so good on cold tyres? Is it all about the mind or how you feel when you drive?
I guess it comes down to a bit of experience and how your car is set up. You know, what we're seeing here is a guy that had an incident earlier in the day. So I mentioned before when we were talking about Cam Waters, it's a confidence game, and you know, he's had a little incident and probably decided for the start of this race. Right, I'm going to err on the side of caution a little bit. I don't want to get caught up in that again. I want to live to fight another day and be able to crank plenty of oversteer into it as I exit Corporate Hill. But, you know, the guys at the front of the game, guys like Duckworth, Tressida, Skibberus, Robson, those guys there have done plenty of miles in these cars. And so for them to slide them around on cold tyres feels very comfortable. They've got that knowledge underneath them of how much they can slide them. Whereas some of the guys further down the road that are trying to, I guess, build on that base knowledge for what that feeling is like, it's just going to take them time. You cannot beat time in race cars, unfortunately.
You were lucky enough to drive in an era where we used to use old H-pattern gearboxes. These days we see sequential boxes. What was your preference? I'm not bringing up the age thing again. I'll leave that one alone.
I was lucky enough to drive in the H-pattern
Or was it
era.
unlucky enough?
You are making me feel old, definitely. I mean, yeah, that was a great period, and I'm, you know, I just got 2 years of a H-pattern car, and it was cool. You felt like you were really contributing. You had to think about every single shift. You know, the sequential, even the ones in our cars and the ones we're seeing here in the Aussie racing cars, it does take a bit of that element of error out of, you know, driving a race car. But you're still pushing, and all it's done is we need to fall in line with what's happening, you know, in the marketplace.
Coming back to the restart, so the Vodafone safety car pulls into pit lane, back into the rows of two. Duckworth and Tressida set for the restart. They're nice and bunched up. Look at Robson wanting to put a 5-second gap on the field here because that's looming over the top of car number 98. They stay side by side through turn number 1. Will everybody make it through without going off the track? At this stage, it looks all right, and Duckworth under siege from Tressida. Robson with nowhere to go.
No, and he's looking there thinking, where do I go? Do I go right and do I follow Tressida, or do I go left and do I try and follow Duckworth? And look at him, he's hanging on the outside here. He feels like he can get this job done. What it's going to take is a bit of respect from both parties. Tressida on the inside, Robson on the outside, but he can't hang around there.
Blake Skibberus is waiting for a chance to pounce in car number 68. The Western Sydney Motorsport entry. There's Joel Heinrich back inside the top 10 in the Osborne's Transport entry with the fluoro headlight stickers on the front of car 16, about to be passed down the inside by Craig Woods, who now moves himself up into 7th, or does he?
And Heinrich just hangs on the outside there. When you're tight, it really compromises how you can get on the throttle. So Heinrich would have known that. He's on the gas a bit earlier, and he would have pinched Woods so that he couldn't get a run on him. Some really good racing going on here. A lot of respect given to each other, and not only good racing, but great racecraft, and there's a big difference between those two. Anybody can run into anybody, but when you're running side by side like that, and you're able to get too wide through a corner, hats off to these guys.
What I've noticed about this category in the past couple of years, it's one big family. If something goes wrong with one of the cars, everybody helps out. They want to see these cars back out there. Yes, they fight to the death out here, but they all get along famously behind the scenes.
Yeah, and that's great. And we can see that by the way that these guys are racing. Duckworth has cleared out here, but there's an enthralling little battle starting to happen here between Tressida and Robson for P2 and P3 on the road. Remember, Robson doesn't know he's got a 5-second penalty, so for him, he's just trying to get that second spot on the podium. Woods.
Yes.
Big move around the outside.
Can he hold it? He's on the inside line here. The drive might help him. That's Brendan Tucker. He'll go side by side with the all-purpose pest control number 4 and Heinrich. Which way will he go here in car 16? 2 rows of 2 as they plunge down to turn number 4.
It's a tough ask to go around the outside there, even in these little cars that have plenty of room on the circuit. The guy on the inside just has momentum versus ground covered, you know, and that's why we saw there. Both rows on the outside, unfortunately, just slipped back.
Down to turn 6, so Peter Carr with a new livery since this morning. He caught me by surprise there. In car number 61, he's 7th at the moment behind Woods as Duckworth begins to shut the race down. We will go time certain.
Some rear locking in the background there from Skibberus suggests that he's having a real push in that car.
There's that smoke again from Heinrich's car. We've seen that at that corner only in every single race of the course of the past couple of days here in Sydney. It's down to the final turn they come.
So they haven't been able to fix it, but if nothing else, the smoke puff is very consistent.
Yeah, exactly. They got that part right at least. Onto the main straight comes Duckworth. Tressida now has Robson right in the slipstream. Same too with Blake Skibberus. And Chris Stevenson, he's running a lonely race, but a strong showing for the Mafra Service Centre entry. Back there in 5th place.
Skibberus is in the prime position there for getting the most out of that toe. So if we see 1, 2, 3 cars in line, the person who's in front is obviously breaking the air. The person in second is able to get a gain, but the man who's third on the road, he gets the biggest gain, and we just saw him toe up onto the back of those two guys in Tressida and Robson ahead.
So we start the 7th and final lap of this race now. Robson on the charge. Keep in mind there's 5 seconds will be added to his time. It might put him just outside the top 10 if it stays the same.
So it looks like Skibberus has got a bit greedy there and maybe outbraked himself into 2, because he was a lot closer than this when they entered turn 1. But on the final lap, he's dealt himself out of this battle. But these two haven't. It is on.
Good passing opportunity here, or turn 8, or using the slipstream out of the final turn.
Tressida very defensive there into turn 6. Opportunity though for Robson into the hairpin at turn 8. Will he have a look? I mean, my money's on Tressida being very defensive, which he is. Oh, he's given him a little tap in the back, pushed him a little wide.
It was cheeky, and Tressida, this will wind up the man from Bundaberg. Rookie of the year last year in the Aussie Racing Cars, demotes him to 3rd. And Skibberus just sitting back, but with 1 turn to go, as he gets a massive run out of the final turn, that's how they'll stay.
That was some good hard racing between Robson and Tressida.
But nonetheless, Duckworth, 3 wins from 4 starts and pole position, and victory number 5 in this year's Aussie Racing Car Super Series. Takes the checkered flag and almost pulled out there. He didn't get it done in the end. It was only a 1/10 of a second separating Robson, but he'll get that additional 5 seconds anyway. So Tressida will be promoted up to 2nd place. Well done to James Duckworth.
That 5-second penalty is going to drop Robson just behind Peter Carr in 5th.
Michael Rinken using the high line down at turn number 8 and turns himself into the tyre wall.
Wow. And I am going to call it. That was a little bit awkward, but why he has ended up like that is he's out on the marbles. The car started to slide. We saw a similar situation through turn 1 yesterday. He tried to overcorrect it. Car's gripped up.